But what matters is that the political system in Iran is a very solid structure. We have not had anyone more important than the leader himself, and even the leader was martyred. Yet the system continued to work and immediately provided a replacement. If anyone else is martyred, it will be the same. If the foreign minister were ever to be martyred, there would ultimately be someone else to take the position.
Aren't you afraid that you might be one of the...
Going back to my prior position that every American politician talks like an illiterate pedophile, whereas the foreign minister of Iran, and in fact every official I've heard from Iran, talks like they've read a book once in their life?
Targets.
Anyone could become a target. In recent days, we have seen that they have no hesitation about targeting any place. So far, 53 hospitals have been attacked, along with many schools. The Minab school, which has now become well known, where 168 students were killed, is the most famous example. But there have been others as well. Bank brand...
Yeah, I don't know, leftists are actually becoming sussy with the Jew dunking. I think that is true, but in my opinion, I have a very easy time distinguishing between anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. And also, anti-Semitism is not the same as being critical of like the Jewish religion or Jewish religious extremism. In the same way that my incessant pointing out that Christian extremists are going to fucking destroy the world is not me being bigoted towards Christian people. It's a thing they believe. Like if it's bigoted to believe that Jewish supremacy is bad, then it's what is it bigoted to believe that like murder is bad because they're a murderer? Like I'm being discriminatory against them. It's ridiculous. There's a difference between blanket discrimination against a group of people as opposed to criticism of their beliefs, you know? Nuance is important. Sure, like I in my opinion, it's easy to tell the distinction, you know? Haredi Jews can be drafted now because of the Israeli Supreme Court ordering it. If they start drafting Haredi Jews, they're going to frag their commanding officer the first chance they get. Are you kidding me? These dudes have an entire life of not working ahead of them, and they're getting drafted to the IDF. Fuck, they're all gonna be reborn as lotus flowers. I didn't see Tucker Carlson talk to Professor Jiang. Maybe I'll watch that.
Churches and many residential buildings have also been attacked. Political figures, civilians, scientists, and university professors have all been targeted. It is even possible that the foreign minister could be attacked. But like everyone else, we are standing firm and working for the goals and interests of our country, and we have no hesitation about giving our lives for it if necessary.
You are in the middle of a war, and it's an American-Israeli war on Iran. At the same time, Iran is in a wider war.
There's a voluntary Haredi unit in the IDF, and they're psychotic even by IDF standards. Yeah, a voluntary Haredi unit? Yeah, of course, obviously. That's a group of people who never work, and of those people, these are the volunteers. Of course they're going to be psychotic. They're going to be like, these are people who want a war for war's sake. Rape unit. 100%.
It's launching rockets towards Israel, towards American bases, and also towards neighboring countries.
We did not expand the war. The war is inherently expansive. This is a point we had already warned our friends in the region about for a very simple reason. When the United States attacks us, our armed forces, our missiles, and our drones cannot reach U.S. territory. Therefore, we are inevitably compelled to respond by striking U.S. military bases in the region and attacking U.S. military assets in the region. Unfortunately, these assets are spread across the entire region and, regrettably, are located on the territory of our friendly countries.
Things have advanced a little bit beyond this point, though. Now we're at, like, well, it's time to start vaporizing water desalination plants.
This is the nature of this war. When the United States attacks us, coming from 10,000 miles away to strike here, it is only natural that we must respond.
Please check my last message about the breakdown on how Jewish Israelis view expelling Palestinians. Over 90% of Haredis want full expulsion of all Arabs. 63% want every person of village they take killed. Yeah, they're extremely far right. The only reason they don't want to work or be enlisted in the IDF is because they're lazy fucking bums, not because they're anti-death. They love death. They're crazy far-right psychopath, yeah, super orthodox Jews. It's not good. It's not good. let's not hit the only source of water these people have, please. Well, I don't know, man. Maybe the Gulf states should stop backing America and Israel. That's not true. There are many subgroups under the Haredi and many are anti-Zionist. Well, for one, I didn't say all, but also keep in mind the reason Haredi Jews tend to be anti-Zionist is because they think the Bible designates them as a permanent outcast group that isn't meant to return to the Holy Land. Or in other words, the Haredi who are anti-Zionist oftentimes aren't opposed to the treatment of the Palestinian people. Instead, they just think that it's the role of the Jew to wander and not return to the Holy Land. They haven't been given the biblical signal to return. So their objections are not humanitarian. They just think that it's not their time.
Sports, hotels, sometimes even some residential areas. And there are many people killed. I mean, for example, I'll give you an example from myself. I was in Doha. In Doha, all the time, we're hearing the drones, the rockets. And at the end, it's not the idea that these are clear bases, because in a way or another, there are some areas that are residential areas, businesses that are being targeted. Now, in Qatar, they're being intercepted. In some other places, they're not.
First of all, I am truly surprised that the world does not speak out about the attacks on Iran's residential areas, the attacks on schools and hospitals.
I'm not surprised.
Why does no one talk about these? But I can say with confidence that we have not attacked civilian targets in neighboring countries. We have not targeted them. Of course, in some places there may be collateral consequences, but that has not been our intention. However, when it comes to striking what the Americans call their bases in the region, it is natural that we have not limited ourselves only to their formal military bases. Wherever there has been a concentration of Americans, wherever they have had facilities belonging to them, those places have been targeted. Some of these may have been close to urban areas. This is not our fault. It's the Americans' fault. They evacuated their soldiers from military bases and moved them into hotels inside cities. Overall, it is the United States' behavior that has brought the region to this point. I accept that our friendly countries are upset and that the people of the region have been harmed. That is why Dr. Pezeshkian apologized to the people of the region, because as a result of U.S. aggression against us and our response and retaliation, they may have been affected. But all of this is America's fault. We did not start this war. We are only defending ourselves.
There was a lot of controversy around Mr. Pezeshkian's apology, whether this created a rift in the system and whether the military was, in a way or another, reserved towards this apology.
All this commotion was unnecessary. Mr. Pezeshkian spoke very clearly. First of all, in our country, apologizing is a sign of strength and honor. A person who is more powerful and more honorable does not hesitate to apologize. The apology he made was addressed to the people of the region out of respect for the difficult situation they are facing. The United States attacked us, and we are retaliating, yet we still apologize to the people of the region because they have suffered. There was no internal disagreement within our system. As for why President Pezeshkian's constructive approach did not succeed...
Compare this to Hegseth? Yeah, I guess, like, to relate it back to the earlier point of the United States not having any natural predators, so I guess except for our leaders, who challenge us to be better. Nobody in America talks like they're ready to die for their cause, but everyone in Iran has to. We literally killed all their top leaders. Like, everyone in Iran who speaks on behalf of the government knows that at any point Israel or America could have them killed. Whereas in America, every leader acts with complete invulnerability, no threat to them whatsoever. They can do or say whatever. They think reality will rearrange itself to accommodate their desires.
The reason lies with the United States and President Trump himself. Immediately after Dr. Pezeshkian's statement, the U.S. President posted a tweet describing the apology as a sign of defeat and declaring that Iran had been defeated using very insulting language. In reality, Mr. Trump killed this approach from the start. He prevented the emergence of a new atmosphere and a new perspective between us and the regional countries. Ultimately, everything about the current situation is the Americans' fault. They must answer, not only to their own people, but also to our people, to the people of the region, and to history in the future. This war is not our war, not the war of the American people, nor the war of the region. It is America's war, a war that the United States itself chose.
It's a war of choice.
Yeah, but you're losing friends. Alongside with this war, you're losing friends, because now, for example, in countries like Oman, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, which you had a deal with, in China, Kuwait, Iraq, Turkey, Azerbaijan, many countries in the region.
Our people are our best friends. First and foremost, we must protect them. We must not bargain with the lives of our people because of friends who are making mistakes. Our friends have given the United States military bases over the past 47 years. Over the past 40...
I know it's translated, but he sounds better than most U.S. politicians. 100%, yeah. No, 100. The U.S. politicians are uniquely stupid. There's like basically no global parallel. There are like... African junta warlords who speak with more coherence than the average American politician.
7 years, our friends have built very good relations with the United States, which has been our enemy. They have provided a wide range of services to the United States, and they continue to do so. Some of our friends have established relations with Israel, which is the greatest enemy of the Islamic world. Even now, some of our friends are allowing their territory to be used against us. I do not know whether they officially allow it or not, but their territories are being used. CENTCOM openly says that, for example, HIMARS short-range missiles are being launched from inside regional countries. When 3 American F-15 aircraft in Kuwait are said to have been mistakenly shot down, no one asks what they were doing in Kuwait. Obviously, they were passing through Kuwait's airspace on their way towards Iran. For us, protecting the life...
Yeah, this guy's... sorry, it's the difference between, like, an average American politician. Notable accomplishments before running for office. Worked for a consultancy firm, board of directors, rug pulled investors, and then did Medicare fraud. Then got elected by, like, 60-40 margins. This guy... Born in 1962 in Tehran, his grandfather was a carpet trader who died when he was 17. As a teenager, he took part in the Iranian Revolution, where he served the IRGC for 9 years and fought in the Iran-Iraq War. Earned a bachelor's degree in international relations, master's degree in political science from the Islamic Azad University in Tehran, a PhD in political thought from the University of Kent with a thesis entitled The Evolution of the Concept of Political Participation in 20th Century Islamic Political Thought, supervised by David McClellan, a scholar of Marxism. The thesis argues that modern Islamic political thought has attempted to reconcile the doctrine of divine sovereignty with the concept of popular sovereignty by incorporating aspects of Western democratic theory into Islamic principles, thereby developing democratic institutions with the framework of Islamic law. He is fluent in Arabic and English. It's just, like, you can do this with all, like, do this with every American politician versus literally anybody who works for the Chinese Communist Party. You know? It's crazy. We're just a dead country, dude. Araghchi joined Iran's foreign ministry in 1989. He served as charge d'affaires at Iran's permanent mission to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Saudi Arabia, and later as Director General for the Institute of Political and International Studies. He was an ambassador to Finland, a Dean of School of International Relations, Deputy Foreign Minister, Ambassador to Japan, post of Deputy for the Asia Pacific and the Commonwealth Affairs. He once again in 2013 became Deputy Foreign Minister and also served as the spokesperson for the ministry. Served as Iran's chief nuclear negotiator in talks with the B5+1 leading up to the JCPOA between Iran and the United States. From 2017 to 2021, served as political deputy at the foreign ministry. Christ alive.
lives of our people is more important than anything else. We hope our friends understand this and realize that over the past 47
I just
years...
realized the majority of our politicians go to Harvard and Harvard Law, but I haven't heard any of them write a scholarly publication. They go to Harvard because they're wealthy and they want to fuck children. Harvard, Yale, and the other Ivy League institutions have long since stopped being like bastions of education and now serve as reifications of class distinction. There are some people who go to Harvard and Yale off of academic merit. They're usually poor people who get on full scholarship. If you go to Harvard off of like legacy connections or through money, you are probably a retard whose parents are paying for you so that you can get like a good political or legal career afterwards.
We have been neighbors and friends, but certain actions have ultimately led to the situation we see today.
There is an analysis that Iran was confronting the American war, the American-Israeli war, with turning this into a regional war and also creating a situation of an international crisis, especially with the closure, or at least the situation that is in the Hormuz Strait, which is almost a closure.
Did we start it? We did not start it. This war was imposed on us, and we had warned about it in advance.
Do you know why this guy says Israel's the enemy of all Islamic states? Probably because Israel's the enemy of all Islamic states. What do you mean? It's true descriptively. Like, why doesn't he frame it as a Zionist thing? Israel is a Zionist thing. What do you mean?
We did not turn this into a regional war simply because attack...
Doesn't it sound anti-Semitic, though? That Israel's an enemy of all Islamic states? No? Why would that... How is that anti-Semitic? It's descriptively true. It's a Jewish supremacist state that's currently in the process of genociding and invading Muslim people and Muslim states. What do you mean?
Attacks are coming from countries in the region. Their military bases in the region are being used against us. It is the United States that has turned it into a regional war, not us.
I think it's pretty safe to assume the guy's anti-Semitic, though. I don't know. Find me something... Sure, maybe. Find me something anti-Semitic, he said. But also keep in mind that he has lived in a country that's been besieged by Israel for decades. So I want to see him saying... to meet the bar for anti-Semitism, he needs to have said something that would be considered problematic, even if he was saying it about Christians. Oftentimes, we have different standards for what we consider to be anti-Semitism versus like... Christophobia or whatever, because we recognize Jews as a minority population in the United States, but Israel is the regional military aggressive expansionist power. So I'm not going to assume that. I would need to say it.
I would like to understand your vision towards the Strait of Hormuz, the closure. You've been saying that everyone is still allowed to pass except for the enemies of Iran. Also, we've heard reports that Iran is putting a condition that there should be transactions in yuan for ships to pass. Also, we heard in the leader's statement that also probably Yemen could enter, and then there are a lot of indications Bab el-Mandab could close. Is Iran trying to suffocate the international economy?
من باز تکرار میکنم این جنگ ما نیست.
I will repeat, this war is not our war. We did not start it. The United States started it and is responsible for all the consequences of this war, human and financial, whether for Iran, for the region, or for the entire world. The United States must be held accountable.
Assuming an Iranian person has anti-Semitic values is just racism, by the way? Yeah, literally. Like, why would I assume, just because he's Iranian? Why would I assume that? That's a crazy thing to assume.
From our perspective, this is a waterway located next to Iran. Naturally, we will not allow our enemies to use this waterway. At the same time, a war is taking place around it, and naturally, many ships and countries may not want to use this route due to insecurity. Some countries contact us to discuss safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz.
Also, unironically, if they do, it's still Israel's fault. Yeah, not to like drop a massive truth nuke on you guys, but if Israel wasn't Jewish and was instead like a Rhodesia-esque European Christian settler project filled with Christian supremacists who were slaughtering Muslims in the region and declaring their Christian supremacy, if he said Christians were the enemies of all Islamic nations, I wouldn't really care that much. Because it's pretty obvious what he's referring to. Wouldn't really care that much. It's pretty, like, he's not describing some broader, you know, conspiracy. He's kind of factually describing the geopolitical relations in the region that he's in. And also, it wouldn't be different from what you fucks say on the daily. White people do this, white people do that. Are you anti-white? Just imagine they're Spanish Crusaders. Me running out to cancel the Mayans as they make derogatory comments about white people shortly after Spanish conquistadors fucking burn their house down or whatever. White people be like, white people be like. True. True.
And we try to provide them with the conditions for such passage. In my view, we need to design new arrangements for the Strait of Hormuz and the way ships pass through it in the future, after the war, so that peaceful navigation through this waterway can be permanently maintained under clear regulations, with consideration for Iran's interests and the interests of the region. I believe that after the war, the first step should be drafting a new protocol for the Strait of Hormuz.
The difference is Jews in the diaspora are still marginalized? Yeah, Christians are marginalized in Iran too. If Iran said American Christians or like Christians want us dead, would you be as upset? We need to have a serious conversation about the weaponization of victimhood. Like, Israel has long relied on the perception of Jewish people as being the most persecuted minority on earth, which is factually not true. Like, many ethnic groups are completely eradicated, for example. Certainly not in the contemporary world. But they've often relied on that as like a broad justification for everything that they do. Everything that they do, you know? And it leads to some very warped power imbalances here. Like somebody in chat unironically said we should just assume this guy is anti-Semitic because he said Israel is the enemy of Islamic countries, a thing that Israel constantly reaffirms. And what? Why? Who's got the nukes, man? Who's got the money? Who's got the power? Who's backed by the fucking global military hegemon? You know? We have to evaluate people's broad statements in the context of the environments in which they live. Are many Islamic people, are like Iranians specifically, bigoted against Jewish people? I have no doubt. I have no doubt of this, I'm sure. Tribalism is common all around the world in all groups. So to defer to it just by default is in my opinion, stupid. The real question is, are their actions informed by supremacist beliefs? That's the real one. Like, does America have racists? Yes. Does Eritrea have racists? Yes. Does Zimbabwe have racists? Every country is racist, retard. Every group of people on earth is filled with tribalists who dislike people around them. That's just how it works. That's how right-wing thought works. The question is their behavior being motivated by supremacy, by tribalism? And the answer here is that Israel's behavior is. Zionist expansionism is objectively rooted in Jewish supremacy. Iran's behavior is not. What they are doing right now is defending themselves against a war of Israeli and American aggression. Factually, they are not. Every single person in Iran, superhumanly, magically, could be like the Buddha. They could be perfect. They could have no desires, or they could have no bigotry. And what they are doing right now would still be a defensive war against foreign aggression. So I am more interested in that, because this deference, well, some of them are bigoted. This could be said of literally any group. Is it motivating their behavior?
Hormuz. Naturally, this should be done between the countries that lie on both sides of the strait, as they are the principal parties in this matter, and it should guarantee that safe passage through the strait takes place under specific conditions.
Upon whose conditions? You say special conditions.
Conditions that ensure peacefulness. We do not want to witness another war in the region, and we do not want to see the strait closed again. There must be regulations and conditions established that guarantee lasting peace in this region.
Yes, but the issue is all these sovereign Arab countries are de facto ethno-states where 95% of the population is one ethnicity. I assume you don't mean Iran, because Iran's not Arab or an ethno-state, but like, yeah, I don't like Saudi Arabia or the UAE or Kuwait or whatever else either. They're slave states. The problem is, we're not sending them hundreds of billions of dollars of weapons and money, and they don't have nukes, and they're not invading every neighboring country. So, you know, but like in terms of ethno-states, Lebanon, super diverse. Syria, super diverse. If you're talking about the Gulf states, then like, yeah, they're Hitlerite. But like, again, I don't support them. And they're not the ones invading the rest of the Middle East. But trust me, okay? If Saudi Arabia had 400 nuclear weapons and were invading every neighboring country, I would say very, 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 very similar stuff about the importance of defeating Saudi Arabia as I do now with Israel. Like, I'm so in favor of stability in the Middle East. I support Operation Desert Storm. I think that America was justified in its joint forces coalition against Iraq to go after them for invading Kuwait. Do another Desert Storm in Israel then? God willing.
What about the Americans now? Yesterday we heard President Trump saying that there are possibilities to reach somewhere. Now, there is nothing solid in what he said, but it's clear that the Americans are in a situation where they're waiting Iran to make the first step.
آمریکایی‌ها به نظر من توسط اسرائیل
In my view, the Americans were drawn into this war by Israel, or more precisely by Netanyahu himself, and I think they themselves do not even know what their ultimate objective is. Every day they talk about something different. Once about regime change, once about dividing Iran, once about the collapse of the government, and once about unconditional surrender. All this was based on a miscalculation, and now they have realized that because of it, they have found themselves in a difficult situation.
That's an insane outtake. What's an insane outtake?
Those who were demanding unconditional surrender from us are now forced
Watch
to...
the war go. Wait, hold on. Do the fucking kids in YouTube chat, you're aware of the fact Operation Desert Storm isn't the same as the Iraq War in 2003, right? You know Operation Desert Storm was when the extremely militarized fascist dictator Saddam Hussein invaded a neighboring country and threw the Middle East into turmoil for like to achieve his expansionist aims. You remember in the 90s? That was a different thing. That was a different war. No shit. I don't know. A lot of people think there was one Iraq war. That seems fair to me. I don't know. You throw the global economy into turmoil and you invade a neighboring country for no fucking reason. The hammer gets brought down on you. I think that's fair.
Seek help, even from their own adversaries, to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, inviting other countries and saying, please help. In my opinion, the United States started this war and must also acknowledge that it made a mistake and put an end to its aggression. We are not seeking a ceasefire because we do not want this scenario to be repeated again after some time. Rather, we want the war to end completely and permanently.
I mean, you said you defended it, Vaush. You weren't even born during the first Iraq War, Mao. Yeah. Do you think you can only defend things as they're happening? What's happening? The average IQ today? What are we doing here? You can only defend things as they're happening? Defend it as in previously in previous streams. What are we doing? Come on. Be real here. Come on. Jesus Christ. Guys, good Lord. Kuwait are Marsh Arabs. They should be part of Iraq. No. You don't get to do that. That's the whole point. Actually, this neighboring country that we're invading should be a part of ours. Stop. So you think Ukraine should be a part of Russia? If you think Kuwait should be a part of Iraq, you cannot complain about Russia doing what it's doing to Ukraine right now. Every country was promised to everybody else 3,000 years ago. It's true.
In the whole region or just in Iran? Because there's another front in Lebanon also.
In the whole region.
We desire lasting peace throughout the entire region, encompassing all the countries within it.
So if there is a ceasefire that is offered and a lot of guarantees that this is not going to be repeated, but the war, for example, in Lebanon will continue, will this war stop?
من فکر نمی‌کنم.
I don't think so. First of all, we do not believe in a ceasefire. We believe in ending the war. And ending the war means exactly that, ending the war on all fronts. I think this is also in the interest of peace in the region, that once and for all, the issue of war in the region is resolved, and that we witness peace throughout the region, in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Iran, and in other countries of the region. The region should become a stable region characterized by peace, development, and progress. I believe that peace in the region must be comprehensive, encompassing all dimensions of peace.
But you do oppose the sanctions that killed many regular Iraqis? Yeah, I'm not really pro-sanctions in general. Sanctions basically just seem to hurt civilians.
And including all countries.
همه ابعاد صلح در نظر بگیره و همه کشورها رو در بر بگیره.
Now, given the fact that right now we are in a new era in Iran, in the middle of the war, there is a new leader. Of course, there'll be new policies, new projection of strategies. And also, we know that the late leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, had a fatwa with respect to the nuclear weapons. Does this fatwa continue with the new leadership, or the new leader could change it? Mainly the nuclear policy of Iran, the nuclear doctrine of Iran, will it change?
دکترین هسته ایران یک دکترین صلح‌آمیز بوده.
Iran's nuclear doctrine has been a peaceful one, and we have always sought, and still seek, to exercise our rights to benefit from peaceful nuclear energy. A fatwa, as you know, depends on the person who issues it. I am not yet in a position to judge what the new leader's jurisprudence...
Yeah, sure. It is true. It is true. No evidence to my knowledge has yet been procured that Iran actually has been working on a nuclear weapon. They have worked on nuclear enrichment, but you would do that for nuclear energy as well. No information yet provided. They agreed to the terms of the JCPOA. I'm in favor of them building a nuclear weapon.
Or political stance on this matter will be. My understanding is that it should not differ greatly from our previous policies, but we must wait until we become aware of his views.
There have been a lot of questions with respect to the new leader, especially that when he addressed the world and Iran mainly, he addressed them through a statement, but no one saw him. Can you tell us more about his situation? Because there were reports from the Iranian television that he was injured in the attack.
Kuwait was a slaver state and only created to split the oil fields. Saddam was right to take it. We are learning. I'm learning of new types of revanchism I've never heard of before. I've never seen like Kuwait deniers, but that's the second one in chat that I've seen. That's crazy.
As far as I am aware, there were only superficial injuries, and he is still in full health and has the situation under control. When and how he will speak to the people, whether through a statement or in person, is up to him. But the information I have, which I know to be accurate, is that he is in complete health.
Based on this, Mr. Trump is saying that he doesn't know with who to talk in Iran. There's no leadership that he knows of.
I am astonished. We have a president, we have a foreign minister, we have the leader. All the pillars of the system are in their proper place, and it is perfectly clear who one should be speaking with.
Now, let's talk a bit about the possibility of talks, negotiations, coming down the ladder. There are attempts already going on. Anyone trying to reach out to you?
کشورهای زیادی هستن از دوستان ما که ایده هایی رو مطرح میکنن.
There are many countries, our friends, that have proposed ideas and expressed readiness to play a role in achieving peace. We thank all of our friends who are making efforts in this regard. Our position is the same as what I have stated here, and we have also conveyed it to our friends. We do not accept a ceasefire. However, if there is an idea for ending the war that meets our conditions, so that the war ends permanently across the entire region and the damages suffered by Iran are compensated, we will certainly listen to it.
It's so fucking goated that Iran is holding steady on their position that we should pay reparations to them for the damage that we've done, which is true.
There are also analyses that maybe one of the countries that could be able to create a situation or an atmosphere or environment for a settlement could be China. How accurate is that, given that Iran wants a country with a weight in the world?
به نظرم کشورهای زیادی هستن که میتونن نقش رو ایفا بکنن.
In my view, several countries can play this role. China is one of them. China played a positive and successful role in mediating between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and I believe that both remain committed to the agreement reached through China's mediation.
An Indian tanker was allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz today because they paid for that oil in Chinese yuan, I heard.
China certainly has strong capacities, and alongside it, other countries also have such potential. I repeat, any idea that meets our demands and fulfills our conditions, we will listen to it.
We've been seeing several messaging going on, at least through the military, through the foreign ministry. Mr. Larijani a couple of days ago in his statement. Is there a message you have to President Trump, to the American people?
من پیام به مردم آمریکا میتونم بدم.
I can give a message to the people of the United States. This war is neither the war of the American people nor the war of Iran. This is Israel's war.
I disagree. This is the war of the American people. I'm criticizing you. You're not being hateful enough. You need to be brave. It's easy to hate the Epstein ruling class of America and Israel. You need to go a step further and hate the average American.
Designed for Israel's interests, for those who believe in Israel first. The cost is being paid by the people of Iran, the people of the region, and the people of the United States. Both the human and financial costs are being paid by ordinary people, by people standing at gas pumps. This situation must be...
I agree. Americans don't want this. Americans don't want this because they don't want to pay more for gas at the pump. Half of America voted for Trump.
Prevented.
Also, the Democratic Party is also Zionist. Keep in mind, the Democratic Party also is not unified in their opposition to this war.
I believe that ending the war depends on the will of the American people to compel their government to take a wiser path.
Mr. Foreign Minister Abbas Araqchi, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera.
Nice. You want an update on this guy? This interview was from 3 days ago. This is from today.
I think the question of talking with Americans or negotiation with Americans once again would be on the table, because we have a very bitter experience of talking with Americans. We negotiated with them last year in last June, and they attacked us in the middle of negotiations. And again this year, they tried to convince us that this time is different. They promised us that they don't have any intention to attack us. And they wanted to resolve Iran's nuclear question peacefully and to find a negotiated solution. And we finally accepted. But again, after 3 rounds of negotiation, and after the American team in the negotiation, said itself that we made a big progress, still they decided to attack us. So I don't think, talking with Americans anymore would be, on our agenda anymore.
We are beneath diplomacy. Beneath diplomacy, man. Sucks to be part of the Satan country, but, that it is what it is, I guess. No room for talk with the Americans. Can't really negotiate with someone who has no idea what they want. Also, we just lie nonstop. The last 2 times we entered negotiations with Iran, we interrupted them by bombing them. The negotiations were just a delaying tactic.